so much so, it seems he thought for a while, the commentator says, I should have had more wounds on me. She would have hugged me even more well. This is Shringaram. Bhartaram Parishasvaje. So as this happened, the 14,000th demon called Akampana goes to Lanka. From Maharashtra, he goes to Lanka. And then he informs Ravana that I have escaped from the hands of Rama. Now Ravana asks, who is this Rama? Greatest of the warriors. Ravana, even you would have not seen such a great warrior. It was a very big insulting statement to Ravana. Because Ravana was thinking he was the greatest. This Akampana had the courage to tell Rama's valor to Ravana. Immediately, a few hours later, Shurpanakha comes. She tells, Brother, please note that I had been there. Where? The same place where Akampana has come from. Why did you go there, Shurpanakha? Because I saw a beautiful lady. I know that you are interested in the wives of other men. See, often there is a debate that goes on. Ravana was a great person. We construct Rama came from north of India and vanquished Ravana. Ravana was a great administrator, was a pandit. He mastered the Vedas. He was a Shiva Bhakta, but a man of very loose character. This goes a statement. Uchetaram cha dharmanam paradarabhivarshanam. Paradara. The one who liked the wives of other men. For that they give examples. Purim bhogavatim gatva parajityacha vasukim takshakasya priyam bharyam parajityacha. The list of lady whom he had attacked. Rambha, Tilottama, Punjikasthala, Vedavati, Bhogavati Nagaram's leader Takshaka's wife. List they give. Now, Shurpanakha goes and says, see, I wanted to get Sita for you, Ravana. My dear brother, I know your interest. See how well she is manipulating that incident. Sasukeshi Suna Soruhu Surupa Chayashaswini Devateva Vanasyasya Rajate Shri Rivapara. She is the incarnation of Mahalakshmi. I wanted to get her to your kingdom. As she started describing Sita's beauty, Vararoha, you know what does Vararoha mean? This name comes in Lakshmi Ashtotram. Vararoha means Tanu Madhyama, the one who has got a slender hip. It should be very, very thin. How thin should it be? For which one of the greatest Sangam saints called as Thiruvalluvar gives a Tirukkural. He gives one Tamil verse depicting how the hip should be, what size it should be. It seems Thiruvalluvar was walking by the streets of Mailapu, a prominent locality in Chennai. Around the afternoon time while he was walking, he saw that arrangements were being made for a dead body to be carried. He went and inquired the people who had gathered outside the house, sir, why are you making these arrangements? Who is dead? That person said who was there, that the 16-year young girl is dead in this house. Oh, that girl, I saw her today morning. How is she dead? What happened to her all of a sudden? Thiruvalluvar asks. For which the other person says, yes, she was hale and healthy. She went along with her friend to the close by garden, Upavanam. There, looking at the blossomed flowers, she wanted to sport one of the flowers on her in her matted locks. So she took one of the flowers called Anichappu. I don't know what it is called, what is the botanical name of that, whether it is chlorophytum, burigirianum, or whatever it is. So she took one of the flowers called Anichappu. While plucking the flower, she plucked the flower along with its stalk. So in botany, you call it calyx and corolla. So she plucked the calyx with the corolla and she placed it on her in her hair. Because she had taken the flower along with its stalk, Unable to bear the weight of the stock, her hip broke and she died, it seems. What is the meaning? The girl, it's not to describe the girl's death, to tell that the hip should be so thin and wafer-like that even the stock's weight should not be able to be borne by the body. The hip should be that thin, it seems. We can't even imagine such a situation. Even if you keep the entire Parvatam on me, nothing will happen. So, Vararoha Yashaswini, as she describes Sita's beauty, initially what was Ravana's reaction? What happened? Who is that Sita? He asked. As she started describing Sita one after the other, where is she? So, this change in his emotion is brought to us by the Tamil poet Kamban. கரனையும் மறந்தான் தங்கை மூக்கினை கடிந்ததும் நின்றான் உரனையும் மறந்தான் உற்ற பழியையும் மறந்தான் வெற்றி அரணை கொண்ட காமன் நம்பினால் முன்னை பெற்ற வரனையும் மறந்தான். He forgot about his brother's Karadushana being killed. He forgot about his sisters whose nose was chopped. He forgot about the number of demons who were dead in the Yuddham. The only thing he didn't forget, Keta Mangayai Marandiladan. He was not able to get Sita off from his memory. So, Bhattagri summarizes this in Narayaniyam. Sandra Krodhanubandhat Sarasinakamuke Padape Gandashaire Tundagre Kantarandre Tadanuja Jatare. This is Vedanta Deshika's Garuda Panchashar. He describes how Garuda carried the tortoise and the elephant in his claws, saying that great sages called Balakilyas were also performing tapas in banyan tree, and to that banyan tree he went. Which is this banyan tree? This is the banyan tree found in Tamil Nadu, where Maricha was driven by the 12-year-old Rama in Balakandam to this place. Now what had Maricha taken up to? Maricha, out of the pain inflicted upon him by Rama, became a sannyasi. Mahabharatam states, Pura Ramabhayadeva tapasyam samupashrutam. He became a tapasvi. Now, Ravana goes to Maricha's hermitage. He says, Mama, my dear uncle, why have you come, Ravana? See, I need some help from you. I know that you can take the disguise of any animal that you want. Why don't you go as a gem-studded golden deer? Where should I go, Ravana? I know that you have nurtured me for so long. Please tell me where I should go. Please go to the place where Rama is. He opened the mouth saying Ra. The moment he heard the Aksharam Ra, he fell down from his seat. Maricha. He said, Rakaradini Namani. Don't say any name which begins with Ra. Why? There was one person at the age of 12, he hit me here. I am afraid of that name. The same person you have to go to. Maricha said, you are sending me into the jaws of death. I have heard that when he was a bachelor Rama, Brahmachari Rama itself, he hit me so hard. Now he is Grihastha Rama. He will hit me doubly hard. Why are you sending me there? I am telling you that if you are duty bound to me, if you want to show your gratitude, go there. Pratyuvacha Mahabhagam Vishwamitram Mahamunim Muna Dvadasha Varshoyam Agdas Tatradascharagavaha. Hey Ravana, I am duty bound to go. I will go. But today I am going, and surely by the day end I will die in the hands of Rama. Like how tomorrow you will die. He makes a prediction also. Nirvayamana suhridamaya prisham prasakya sitam yadi dharma dishyasi gamishyasi kshina balasa bandhavo yamakshayam ramasharasta jidita. Now, as a gem-studded golden deer, Maricha runs outside the hermitage very close to the window of Sita's kitchen. Sita gets up and sees the beautiful deer. She goes to the living room. There near that window, that deer is spotted. Then she goes to the outer pedestal where Rama is in deep meditation. She tells, see, I have not asked you for anything. This is generally the pretext for asking anything. உங்களை நான் எதுவுமே கேட்டதில்லை, இது ஒன்னே ஒண்ணுதான். आर्यपुत्राभिरामोऽसौ मृगाहरति मे मनः नैनं महाबाहो क्रीडार्थं नो भविष्यति. I wish to play with this deer. Please fetch me this deer. Rama sees that there is some validity in what she is asking. She came out of her own accord to the forest. I have to give something for her. Lakshmana will see. Rama, wait. To me, it seems that this deer is no normal one. Why? Samudvikshya cha sarve tam mriga yenyeva necharaha upagamya samagraya vidravanti dishodasha. The other deers in the forest are coming and smelling something wrong in this deer and are running away from this deer. That means, which proves that this deer, some Rakshasa. Rama asks, who could it be, Lakshmana? Temaiva Navaham manye maricham rakshasam mrigam. You remember? We had driven away Maricha. That Maricha, I have studied, has ability to transform into any animal. It could be Maricha. Don't go particularly. See, I have never asked anything, Rama. I have just asked one thing. If you don't want to get it, don't get it. Rama said, see, she is very upset, Lakshmana. I know you will take good care of her. I will leave. He started running behind the deer. Now the deer runs and so does Rama. At one point in time, Rama feels what Lakshmana said is true, because no normal deer will run this far. What Lakshmana said is true, because no normal deer will run this far. It will at least stop, or it will get caught, or somewhere it will take diversion. So he hits this deer with an arrow. That arrow goes and hits that deer, and that deer, in the dying state, Maricha, he changes his voice to that of Rama and cries for help. Ha Site! Ha Lakshmana! Now Rama understands the moment this voice is heard, oh, Sita must have thought that I am dead. What should I do now? So he goes closer to the deer. This is what Ramayana says. But Vedanta Deshika goes one step forward. He takes the skin of that deer, and that skin later he uses for meditation. Says Vedanta Deshika, Maricha Maya Mrigacha, he says. Now, in the meanwhile, see, Rama has started running from Nashik Panchavati. There was this deer shot called Mrigadhode near Shivamogga in Karnataka, roughly 1200 to 1500 kilometers. Rama has run in 1.5 hours. Now, how is it possible? Then the velocity should be around 700 kilometers per hour. I used to wonder, how is this possible? See, in Bombay, where I used to be there used to be marathon sessions. So it used to start from Bandra. There is a place called Bandra Worli Sea Link. So we used to practice for months together to run 10 kilometers. That is Shunna Nadi. But there used to be they used to come, because whoever finishes that marathon will get some $5,000 or $10,000. Once the marathon, he stood next to me. The place where his legs started is where my head starts. So he kept one foot here, the other foot there. So then I thought, Rama must have also run this. Are they so flexible for that? I gave lectures in 2016 or 17 in Nairobi, Kenya. So after my lectures, my host dropped me in the airport. As usual, Purva Janma Karma, my flight did not take off at the right time. So 3-4 hours I had to wait in the airport. So I went to the washroom. By the time I opened the door, there was one person there already, and that person had put his legs into the wash basin to wash his legs. So his leg was here, the wash basin is at a height of 5 feet. So that time I said, Trivikrama Avataram is possible. So Rama ran here, and by the time he could come, what happened here in the other place? Sita, the moment she hears that cry for help, in Rama's voice, she thinks that some harm must have been meted to Rama. Uvacha Lakshmanam Sita Gaccha Jani Hridayam Vavatishthate Kroshatav Paramatasya Shruta Shabdo Maya Bhrisham. Hey Lakshmana, move from this place. I feel that there is some harm meted to Rama, your brother. Please go and protect him. Mata, how can I leave you in the middle of Dandakaranyam all alone? My brother has said that I have to protect you. Mata, I have to protect you. Nothing will happen to Rama. You should know, I should know. He is Ajata Shatru, Asahaya Shura, Anapaya Sahasa. Lakshmana, you have to go. Lakshmana, Mata, I cannot leave. Yo Ramam Pratyayudyeta Samare Vasavopamam. Even if Indra comes and fights, Indra should face defeat and not Rama. He is that great a warrior, Mata. Lakshmana, I am warning you that you have to leave this place immediately. Now I realize you are actually an enemy in the disguise of a friend. I was thinking all these years you have been serving me selflessly, relentlessly, as a mark of respect that you have towards me and your brother. Probably you were waiting for an opportunity when your brother will be absent so that you can have a relationship with me. That man was being selflessly serving, washing utensils, cooking for 14 years. See the reward that he gets. Remember this, on day 9 I will be addressing this. Saumitre mitra rupena bhratruttvamasi shatruvad yatastvam asyam avasthayam bhrataram napi padyase. Lakshmana couldn't even believe his ears. He thought, is this some daydreaming? Is my mata talking such words to me? These words? How can I manage to stand here after having heard these words? He then tells, how can I leave you, Mata? Lakshmana, if you are not leaving this place, I am going to Godavari. Godavarim pravekshami hina ramena Lakshmana. Abhandayishye athava tyakshe vishame dehamatmanaha. Otherwise I will consume poison. Lakshmana then says, Mata, I don't know what to do. Let the forest deities protect you. Forest, Vanadevataha. Please come and protect my Mata. Nimittani hi ghorani yani pradurbhavanti me. Apitvam saharamena pashyayam punaragataha Mata. I don't know whether I will come and see you back, whether I will be able to see you uniting with Rama. I don't know when that day will happen. Rakshantu tvam vishalakshi samagra vanadevataha. Come and protect this Mata. And he left. Now, what have we been told here? What did he draw? Whose Rekha? Lakshman Rekha. There is no Lakshman Rekha in Ramayana. In India, it is used to drive away cockroaches. There is a stick called Lakshman Rekha we use for cockroaches. If I have to tell you in your language, Periplaneta americana. That is the biological nomenclature of cockroach. Periplaneta americana. That is the genus. This is a species. That is Lakshman Rekha. In original Ramayana, there is no Lakshman Rekha. But the beauty is, if I tell there is no Lakshman Rekha, they will say that I am lying. Because what is not there in Ramayana is more popular in Ramayana. That is the beauty. No Lakshman Rekha was drawn. In movies and all, he will do one mantram, he will draw one line, fire will come out of that. All that did not happen here. Okay. Now, in the absence of Lakshmana comes our great Ravana, Parivrajaka Rupena. He comes in the disguise of a sannyasi, because sannyasis have relinquished their wealth and family. In those days, you have to trust those sannyasis. But what did this sannyasi do? Sannyasi, he lived in an island. Today also many sannyasis are buying islands. So, Sandrishyana Parak प्रकम्पन्ते न प्रवादी च मारुतः शीघ्रस्तोताश्च तं दृष्ट्वा वीक्षन्तं रक्तलोचनं श्लक्षकाशाय संवीताः शिखी च त्रिउपानहि वामे चांसे वसज्जाथ शुभे यष्टिकमण्डलो परिव्राजकरूपेण वैदेहीम् अन्ववर्तत. He came closer to Sita. Even at that time, Sita thought a guest has to be welcomed. What we would have said, sir, I'm very busy now, don't come tomorrow. Sita said, what do you want? Shall I get you some fruits? She could have done at least that. Now she started telling, at the age of 6, I was married to Rama, who was 12. All this was not required. So she started telling, I was married at the age of 12. Then 12 years, I had a very good relationship with my mother-in-law. Then we all came. All this was not required. Fine, she asked, are fruits enough? He said, no. What do you want? I want you. Dadhyana pratigrinhitam satyam bruyana chandritam Bhakvinam uttamastreenam avrudanam astidastatah sarvasameva badram te mahagriva mahishi bhava. He had come with the intent to seize her and coax her to be his wife. Now he comes, touches her thighs through one hand, rolls the hair in the other hand and lifts her. Now, there is a Purvacharita to Ravana. Ravana had molested many women, and the last in the list was a great ascetic woman called Vedavati. Vedavati had cursed that if you touch another woman from now on with the intent of harming, physically assaulting her and molesting her, that very minute you will die. This was a shapa. Besides this, Ravana had created a hoax. He said that I have received many other shapams of Rambha, Nalakubera's friend, and so on, that I have similar shapams. But he was very reluctant to touch a woman after Vedavati. But now he had come to Sita. When he had touched Sita and lifted her, and he did not die, what does that mean? That her shapam was redundant. Correct? It is nullified. Vedavati's shapam is nullified. No. Because later, after bringing her to Lanka, he does not force himself on her. He keeps threatening her. See, look at the silk saree I've got. Look at the jewelry I've got. You have to become my wife in 2 months, 1.5 months. He keeps telling. But he doesn't go beyond that. So he was worried about that shapa. But while he kidnapped her, how did he not die? You have to pay full attention to Ramayana. While he kidnapped Sita, while he touched her and kidnapped her, how did he kidnap her? For that, Valmiki says, Budham iva Rohini. Like how Buddha abducted Rohini, he abducted Sita. Now, who is Buddha, who is Rohini? Chandra, Soma had the stars as his wives. For everyone, the wife is a star. For Chandra, the stars were his wives. The most affectionate wife was Rohini. All page 3, she will only be there. For this Punarvasu, Pushya, Aslesha, those stars were not given importance. Only Rohini. Any Rohini here? Any Rohini Nakshatram? They are all worried about their uncles. So Rohini was given full attention. On the other hand, Chandra once went to the hermitage of his guru. Who was his guru? Guru. Who's guru? In Navagrahas, we come across Brihaspati, right? Brihaspati was his guru. The moment the door opened, he asked, is Guru there? No, Guru is not here. He has gone for 3 days of some work, marketing work or something. Who opened the door? Guru's wife, Tara. The moment Tara saw Chandra, she fell in love with him. Chandra also fell in love with Tara. Eventually, she turned pregnant. Brihaspati distributes sweets, thinking that this child was his. Later, while the child had to be delivered, And he went to the receptionist. She said, amount has already been paid. He looks at that receipt slip. It is, the signature is K. Chandra. Why is K. Chandra paying? Then Chandra said, this is my child. Then Brihaspati did not know how to get to a conclusion. He called Brahma. Brahma went and asked Tara, whose child is this? She says, this is not Brihaspati's, it is Chandra's. Then Brihaspati adopts this child. So this child born to Chandra and Tara is called Buddha. So he is originally C Buddha, but later he becomes B Buddha. Now, for Buddha, who is Chandra? Father, biological father. What is Chandra's wife Rohini to Buddha? Stepmother. So in one way or the other, there is a mother-son relationship. If Buddha abducts Rohini, then there is no Nayaka-Nayaki relationship. It is a mother-son relationship. The moment Ravana touched Sita, for an instant, he felt that he was lifting his mother. That is why he did not die. That is why Valmiki says, Buddham iva Rohini. Now, as she was abducted, Jatayu comes in the middle. Says, you cannot do this. I will fight till my last breath. And he starts fighting. Tatastutam patra ratham mahitale. So as Jatayu fought, he was not able to match the power of Ravana. He took the sword that he was blessed with by Lord Shiva called Chandrahasa and chopped the wings of Jatayu. Jatayu fell on the ground. The flight came closer to that spot. Sita went running and embraced Jatayu and said, you were like my father. Now you are going to die. I don't know who's going to come and protect me. Nipapatitam Ravana Vedamarditam Vegamarditam Punascha Sangrihya Shashi Prabhanana Guroda Sita Janakatmaja Tada. She tells, it is my misfortune, Jatayu, that you are dying. It is because of my misfortune that you are dying. You have met me. That is why you have come across death. That is when Ravana pulls Sita on the ground by her hair, puts her back to the Vimanam and carries. As she goes, she spots a few monkeys sitting above a cliff. She immediately takes whose Anasuya's jewelry. That time also she was very vigilant. She takes Anasuya's jewelry and throws it. She tears the part of her pallu. It has got those Hamsa border marks. And she throws it down. Now, Kriyamana tu Vaidehi Kanchinna Thamapashyati Dadasha Girishringasthan Panchavanara Pungavan Tesham Madhye Vishalakshi Kausheyam Kanakaprabham Uttariyam Vararoha Kanakaprabham. It had golden jari. Uttariyam, that upper part of the sari. Vararoha, the slender-waisted Sita, Shubhan Yabharanani cha, with all the Abharanam she threw. Now, on the other hand, this is a place, after he takes her to Lanka, he initially puts her to a small place at the bottom of the hills. It is called Sita Kotuva. I have had the opportunity to take over 400 people to Lanka, called Ramayana in Lanka tour, where I spotted about 15 places related to Ramayana and then explained to them. All that happened in the past. I don't know when it will happen in the future. So there is a place called Sita Kotuva. So you have to trek down the hill and go to that place. That is the place where he had hidden Sita. And then he informs slowly to his wives and then shifts her to a place called Sita Elia today on a hill station called Nuvara Elia on the way to Velimada in Lanka. It is in the central Lanka. So if you arrive in Colombo, then you have to go via Kandi to this place. So on the other hand, Rama and Lakshmana, Rama now asks, Lakshmana, why have you come? No, Sita said these words, how could I stay there? Have you left Sita alone? They go running, they find the fruit scattered on the ground. There's nobody there. There were birds running here and there, giving a sign as if something auspicious had not happened. So then he goes tree after tree and asks every tree, oh tree, we have used your flowers. I used to adorn Sita's tresses. Please tell me where Sita is. Now you may wonder, why is he doing all of this? when you are madly in love with someone and you miss that person, even you will start talking to inanimate objects. I don't know if you've heard of Kalidasa's Kavyam called Meghadutam. Right? Even before Kabutar, before that, Meghadutam came. So he looked at the Megham. Kaschit Kanta Viraha Guruna Swadhikara Pramattaha Shapena Stangamita Mahima Varsha Bhogyena Bhartuhu Yakshachakre Janakatanayan Snana Punyodakeshu Snigdhaschaya Tarushu Vasatim Ramagirya. This is the first verse of Meghadutam. So he looked at every tree. Then he went to a Karnikara Pushpam. Hey, Karnikara Pushpam. So many times you've been sporting on Sita's head. Where is Sita? Then he goes to Godavari, the river. Hey, Godavari Mata, Hamsakaranda, Vasina, Mande, Godavari Nadim. Hey, Godavari, tell me where Sita is. Can Godavari reply? Japandi. Godavari cannot reply. This is what we believe. We believe that nature can't speak. Remember, communication need not always be oral. It can be through eye gestures, body language. See, if you have a pet in your house, will the pet come and say, if it's a dog, I am hungry now. Bhavati Bhiksham Dehi Mate. Will it come and say? Now you will decipher its body language. Are you hungry? I'll give you. Now, how did it communicate? How did you decipher? Similarly, nature, even plants and trees can communicate. If you shower love on them, your touch can actually be traced by the leaves and plants. Don't think they have no mouth to speak, they have no feelings. They have feelings. In many, many ashrams, when the rishi passes away, the creepers will die. They know feelings. If at all there is one creation on this earth which doesn't understand feelings properly and is ungrateful, it is the human race. Plants have feelings. So rivers can also speak. How? They can meander. In geography, there is a process where a river in its course can meander. So meandering is one of the ways where a river changes its course. If it is moving west to east, those rivers which, what are rivers called in Sanskrit? Evanti Peru. Nadi. Remember, rivers which drain eastwards are called Nadi. Those that go westward are called Nada in Sanskrit. So in Bharatadesham, technically, if you look at Narmada, it is a Nada. Godavari, Kaveri, Tamraparani is a Nadi. It goes eastward. So Nada Nadi Bhavam says Vedanta Deshika Yadava Vidam. Nevertheless, now the river could have meandered, but Godavari refused to meander because she was internally worried that if I meander and show that Ravana has gone in the southern direction, later if Ravana knows that I have complained to Rama, he may cause some harm to me. So she was worried about her safety rather than doing something which is good for the society. So Godavari as a river lost her auspiciousness that very moment. So Godavari doesn't yield punyam. What is this, sir? Yen helta idira sir neevu? Gangeshcha Yamune Chaiva Godavari Saraswati. Sapta Nadigalalli Godavari idiyalva sir. Matte yen helta idira punya illa anta helta idira alva sir. Ittu Amele illa. It was there, later it wasn't. Later it came back. Why? Vedanta Deshika says because that name Godavari has Goda Andal's name. So that punyam came back. So she lost auspiciousness because Andal blessed her. She got that auspiciousness back. Nevertheless, now Rama goes, as he goes southwards, he sees this dead, close to dead bird called Jatayu. He puts Jatayu on his lap and says, hey Jatayu, what happened? Ravana tried kidnapping Sita Rama. I tried my level best to stop this misadventure of his, but he ended up chopping off my wings and I'm going to die in a few minutes. Rama started crying. He said, you are like my fatherly figure. If you are also dying, who is going to be there? And as he was trying to console Jatayu, Jatayu's Atma was about to depart from that body. You know what Rama did? Sagatir Yajnashilanam Ahati Yajneshchaya Gatihi Aparavartinam Yacha Yacha Bhumi Pradayinam Mayatvam Samanugyato Gachalokan Ye Jatayu, I command the Jivatma in this Jatayu to go to Vaikuntham. Rama said. Now this very minute, Bhagavad Ramanuja's Sishya called Kurattalvan, Kuresha, who lived 1000 years before, in one of his verses says, what is this? On one side, you are crying, where is Sita? On the other side, you are giving moksham to Jatayu. Can the person who gives moksham not find us? See, we are all people who do not have the power or the ability to grant moksha. See, there are many roadkills in the states, right? You should not stop the vehicle also because your vehicle is going at that speed. Suppose a deer is coming. Suppose the deer is suffering. I stop my car. Hey deer, I see that you are a good deer. May the Jivatma in you go to moksha. It will you go to moksha. You know, nee rombo mokshathukku vara mari enna pongriye. That will ask. So Rama is crying, where is Sita? So if Jatayu had died, he should have said, oh Jatayu, I hope I will pray for Om Shanti, rip, rest in peace. All this he should have said, right? He didn't say any of that. He said, Gachalokan Anuttaman. So despite the Lord vowing, taking a pledge, a solemn vow that he shall remain as a normal, ordinary human being, there are certain occasions in Ramayana where inadvertently he shows that he is the supreme. This is one place. Gachalokan Anuttaman. Lakshmana pinches him. This is your D Ram, your D Ram. You are not Narayana. Come down, come down. Then Rama starts crying. Oh, where is Sita? So this is one place. This one loophole is enough for our acharyas to compose one shloka. Prichami kinchana yeda kila radhavatve maya mrigasya vashago manujatvamodyat Sita viyoga vivashona cha tadvatigniyaha pradastada paragatimhi katham khagaya. How did you give moksham to that khaga called Jatayu then? Now, was Jatayu entitled for moksham? As per Shastram, if you feed upon dead matter, as per Shastram, now don't ask me whether it is applicable, not applicable and all of that, you are not entitled for moksha. So, as per Shastram, vulture is a scavenger. It mostly feeds on dead matter. That is why, again, I'm not meaning to tell anybody, but I'm just, because in this context I have to tell. That is why mushroom should not be consumed. Because mushroom is a saprophyte. Correct? Saprophyte, then it will always feed on dead and decaying matter to grow. So it should not be consumed. Now you may ask, why are you telling? No, Shastram itself tells that mushroom should not be consumed. Oh, mushrooms existed during Shastram time? Yes. So that which feeds on dead matter is not entitled for moksha. Now you may ask, how will then vultures, are they cursed creatures? Oh no, they will get moksha. Somehow the Lord will manage. We need not have to worry about his managing abilities. But Shastram tells vultures cannot. So Jatayu, first disqualification, he was a scavenger. Second thing, he was killed by a person who was a Vedic Pandit. A person who's killed by a Vaidika is called as Agrahyata in Sanskrit. These are all very rare names. Third, he had not performed an upayam called Bhakti or Sharanagati. He had neither performed Bhakti or Sharanagati to get moksham. He was killed by a Pandit, thereby making him a Agrahyata, and he is a scavenger. 3 disqualifications. But he got moksha. How? Rama says, Gachalokan Anuttaman. How? Because however disqualified we are, if the Lord chooses to give moksham, none of our disqualifications can come on the way. There is a shlokam. Akshunya yoga patham agrahyatam jatayum tiryanchameva pada mokshapathe niyoktum shaknoshi desi chayadasa tada katham tvam devi mavapnutananam yatitham vichimvat. Now, after Jatayu was dead. When I say dead, the Atma had departed. What should we do with the body? We have to burn, right? Cremate it. Who did the final rites for Jatayu? Rama did. See, Rama did not do final rites, Antima Samskara for his father. But throughout Ramayana, he is doing Dharma Samskara for others, except his father. With generally, I tell you, in those days, most of our ancestors, I'm talking 4, 5, 6, 7 generations back, they would all been, a large section of them would have been people who have been performing Agnihotram in their houses. What is Agnihotram? Today we are getting these surnames, Agnihotri. But they do another Agnihotram. Who is this Agnihotri? Person who performs Agnihotra. What is Agnihotram? But 2 minutes I'll explain and then get back to the topic. So, if a person who's married, remember, if you are not married, you are not entitled to do any job that concerns with fire. You cannot cook for yourself. That is why you have to go on Bhiksha. And people who put Bhiksha should put cooked rice for a brahmachari, not raw rice. Whereas when a grihastha goes, he has to get only raw rice. Okay. Now, after marriage, that during the marriage process, technically marriages used to be for 5 days. Today we have brought it to 1/4, 1 day. That's all. So on that day, after the vratam, the boy, be it Kshatriya, Vaishya, Brahmana, whoever it is, they will be given a kacham. Their dress code will change. That time, fire will be given for the first time. Then this fire has to be protected by them. At no point in time this fire should get extinguished. So this fire has to be performed during 3 times in a day. So they will construct Yajna Kundam, semicircle, square and circle. 3 Yajna Kundams, morning, afternoon, evening. So that fire will keep glowing. Next day they have to shift that fire and keep doing. So if they go out of station, what to do? You have to off and go. No, you have to take that fire in that stick and go. So Rama was an Agnihotri. So suppose if a person passes away, how should I cremate him? You have to put some camphor, put some kerosene, petrol and light it. No, you have to use the same fire from that person's Agnihotra. You cannot use anybody else's Agnihotra. Mama, no, you cannot borrow Agni. You have to use the same Agni. In Mahabharatam, after Uttarayana Punyakalam comes, Bhishma's Jivatma leaves his body. Krishna tells Yudhishthira, go and take the fire from Bhishma's Agnihotram and perform the final rites. What did I say? Agnihotram can be performed only by married men, correct? Bhishma was married. In Mahabharatam, he was married. When he takes the vow, okay, that is a separate topic. When he takes a vow for the sake of his father Shantanu, going to the fisherman folks' village, you know what he says? Remember Mahabharatam verse. Adyameva, from today I will be a brahmachari. If you are already a brahmachari, what will you say? I will continue being a brahmachari. In New Year resolution, I say from today I won't smoke. What is the inference? Till yesterday, I was smoking. If he says from today I am a brahmachari, it means that he was a grihastha before. Remember, he was a grihastha who practiced brahmacharya. He was a grihastha. He did not have any physical relationship with his wife. That is why he performed Agnihotram. But he lived the life of a brahmachari. But he was performing Agnihotra. Ramanuja mentions this in Sri Bhashyam. Raikva, Bhishma, Samvartadinam, Anashraminam, Brahma Vidya, Nashtatvam. He says in one particular Sutra Vakya. Well, now I'll get back to this point. Rama performed the final rites of Jatayu. Okay. What does this imply? There is one beautiful anecdote to this. I'm going to skip that anecdote. Generally, in my Ramayana discourses, I mention that anecdote because I have to finish Aranya Kandam today. I will skip that anecdote. You may, whenever there is time, we will listen to that anecdote later. Now, Rama, as he continues his search for Sita in the forest, he comes across Kabandha. Kabandha was again another demon there. Rama manages to kill that demon. While the Atma of Kabandha departs from his material body, that Kabandha says, Rama, I know that you are the Supreme Personality himself who is now in the form of a human. If at all you want to rescue Sita, please make friendship with Sugriva. So Rama was now in the lower part of Maharashtra. He had to enter Karnataka. Adrohaya samagamya dipyamane vibhavasau nachate somamantavyaha Sugrivo vanaradhipaha. Now, they now come in search, as they come in search of Sugriva, they come across a beautiful hermitage. Very, very pristine, and that is glowing out of ascetic performances. Once they get into this place of severe austerities, they sport an old woman called as Shabari. Who is Shabari? Remember, in Sanatana Dharma, traditionally, women were not allowed to take up to being a sannyasi. Traditionally. Why? Manu in his Dharma Shastram tells, because a woman by her very nature and living itself, she is very, very generous and magnanimous. She gives away to her children what she also loves the most for the sake of her children. Since she gives what she loves to her children and to her family and to her friends around, so she is already a sannyasi. So there is no separate procedure needed to become a sannyasi, whereas the man needs to become a sannyasi because he has never been generous before. If at all, technically a lady cannot become a sannyasi. If at all a woman chooses to live like a sannyasi, then she becomes a sannyasini, right? But technically you cannot become a sannyasi. In that case, her state is referred to as Shramani in Sanskrit. So, Valmiki mentions, Tesham Gatana Madhyapi Drishyate Paricharini Shramani Shabari Namaka Gustha Chirajivani. For that, Govinda Raja comments, Tesham Matanga Sishyana Paricharina Shramani Sanyasini Shabariti Nama Shabariti Prasiddha. She was called Shabari. Shabaram generally means hunter folk. Kirata, Shabara Jati, Kirata Jati, they are all hunter folk. So she was a Kapi Shabari, says Vedanta Deshika. Nishadana, Veda, Kapikulapatihi, Kapi Shabari. What does Kapi mean? Brew. Brew, Ilma, filter coffee. What does Kapi mean? Kapi means addressless. Kapi Shabari. If you ask her, who, Shabari, give me your introduction. Where do you stay? There in the forest. Give me your proper address. Whether it is Bethesda, whether it is, you have to tell me your place. She doesn't have an address, so she's called Kapi Shabari. Now Rama got inside in the hermitage along with Lakshmana. Shabari, she spotted these two men and she asks, are you Rama and Lakshmana? They were like telepathy for you. How did you know that we are Rama Lakshmana? Because my Acharya, Matanga Maharishi, had mentioned that both of you will come to the hermitage. Oh, Matanga Maharishi, where is he? Just a few days back, he left to Vaikuntham. Even I wanted to go behind my Acharya. But my Acharya said, wait, Shabari, Rama and Lakshmana will come this way. Be hospitable to them. Give them all that is possible in our ashram and then come to Vaikuntha. Rama, from that day onwards, I have been waiting for your presence here. Then what does she give Rama? Palam, fruits, different fruits, nectarine, tangerine, all the fruits that you get, kiwi, all those fruits. Now the point is not what variety she gave. How does she give? She bites it. The saliva drips in it, and then Rama takes it and he eats. This is how Pandri Bai gave to N.T. Ramarao. The second volume of Sampurna Ramayana. This is how he gave. Kadichu kudta sir. Kadichu yacha chotta 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 chotta. See, somehow I am telling you what Valmiki gave is not the Ramayana that we know. We know only directors Ramayana. Rajamouli's Ramayana, A.P. Nagaraja's Ramayana. This is the Ramayana we know. Imagine, we are not orthodox. None of us here are so orthodox. We may all be hygienic. That is different. We are not very orthodox. 21 vegetables should not be consumed as per Shastra. 21. Tomato, potato, cabbage, beetroot, cauliflower, onion, garlic, radish, turnip, bottle gourd, ridge gourd. 21 vegetables should not be consumed. What is left, maybe 7 or 8, that alone you have to consume. And food should be consumed within 3 hours of the cooking, as per Ahara Niyamam of Vedanta Deshika. We don't know 3 years is also there with the label in the jar and fridge. So, rice, the rice on which crow and sparrow has sat should not be consumed. Where do we go for that rice? Milk should not be boiled for the second time. Water stored in a container for more than 24 hours should not be consumed. Vedanta Deshika gives a detailed report of what food if you have, your memory will be intact. We keep telling, right, somehow sir, I keep forgetting because of all of these 3 years, 2 years food. See, I don't know, in South we call it upma. What do we call it in North? Khichdi. So you have to dry fry that rava. Then you add hot water, or some of them even add buttermilk to it. This is what Venkatesh Bhatt tells us. Then you have to temper it, and then you will have to add whatever vegetables you want, and then you nicely stir it. After you consume that upma, there will be one layer attached to the vessel in which you make. Are you able to try it tomorrow? That is tastier than the upma. But if you consume that, your memory will come down, says Deshika. So, why I am bringing all this is to say that we are not orthodox. Correct? Now, when we are not, we may be hygienic, that is different. Hygiene and acharam are not one and the same. Acharam is hygiene plus. You have to be hygienic. That is the LCM. Beyond that, there is something called as bhavam. Who has cooked? How they have cooked? What they have cooked? All these questions we have to ask. When we don't ask those questions, we can have in hotels. The moment you ask these questions, you cannot eat outside. Who has cooked? With what bhavam have they cooked? All that can we do research. So, we are not that orthodox. Coming to the point. You are walking by the street. Generally, nobody walks here. Only vehicles keep going. One day, all of a sudden, you are walking on the street. You are seeing one another, great Bhagavata, who comes to the temple. You know that person well, great Bhagavata. If he comes to the temple, he sings. He is having one apple in his hand. He is biting it. The moment he sees you, he is also very happy, for he is seeing another Bhagavata. He says, come here, and we go. And he gives that bitten apple to us. Will you eat? We are not that orthodox. Bhagavata. Rama is Achara Sheela. Shabari is the Bhagavatottama Stri. Will she ever give a bitten fruit to Rama, and will Rama consume it? Ramayana doesn't mention of Shabari biting and giving. She gives fruits. Rama consumes. That's all. Valmiki does make a mention that she tasted the fruits. Now you may have a question. So tasting means biting? No. You go to a shop and you have to buy grapes. You put one grapes into your mouth and then check it is good. Then you may buy the next bunch. It doesn't mean you have tasted bitten. You have tasted one. Suppose you have to pluck apples. You take one apple, bite complete apple fully. Oh, this is very tasty. Which means the remaining apples of the same tree will also be good. Then the remaining apples of the same tree will also be good. Then you slice them. You sun dry them. You get these pitted prunes here, right? So pitted, you dry them in such a way that they don't decay. You make them dry fruits. So Shabari, the moment she got the instruction from her Acharya that Rama and Lakshmana will be coming, from that day she started preserving and drying fruits, and she gave those tasted dried fruits to Rama. It was not biting, giving the saliva in it. Because people say, you're saying Rama was orthodox, how did Shabari give? Shabari did not give those bitten fruits. Now, after Shabari was hospitable to Rama, she gave fruits. Rama accepted it and said, Shabari, thanks for the hospitality. What should we do? You go wherever you want, Rama. I will go to Moksha. Few episodes back, Rama granted moksham to Jatayu. Now we will expect the same Rama to grant moksham to Shabari. No. Shabari said, I will think of my Acharya. She thought of her Acharya Matanga. That very moment her Jivatma left. What was Rama doing? He was just a witness to it. Why? Because with Acharya Sambandham, a person need not seek the Lord's grace also. That Acharya Sambandham itself will give moksha. Guruleka etuvanti kunigi teliyagapodu Sadguruleka etuvanti kunigi teliyagapodu Karukaina hridrodakavadu nadu Garaguruleka etuvanti. Says Tyagaraja, Guruleka etuvanti guniki teliyagapodu. How will you know the Gudhartham of scriptures without a guru? Swa andhakaraha bhutan nirodhaka. Vedanta Deshika says, Gurum prakashaye dhiman mantram yatnena gopaye aprakasha prakashabhyam shiyete sampadayushi. An Acharya is so important. Siddham satsampradaye sthirariyam anagham shrotriyam brahmanishtam satyastam satyavasham samaya niyataya sadhuvritya sametam damba suryadimuktam nijay vishayiganam dirgavandum dayalum skalitye shasitaram vasati hidaparam deshikam bhupsurik says Vedanta Deshika. The 16 qualities needed to be an Acharya. Acharya is very important. Sadacharya is important. Vijaya Vithaladasa says, Garuvarahitava madiye nanu porave bharavu nimmade Shri Guru Purandaradasare nimma charana kamalava nambide Shri Guru Purandaradasare. Madhura Kavi Alvar in the Tamil tradition did not salute the Lord. He said, I will salute my Acharya Nammalvar Kanninun Shirutambinal Kattunna Panniya Perumayan Yennappanin Nambi Tengurugur Nambi Ennakal Annik Mudurum Yen Navuke. So Shabari, she got moksham with her Acharya Sambandham. Shabari moksha sakshi bhuta. So Shabari got moksham, Jatayu got moksham. Now Rama enters Karnataka. From Sabudana Kichadi, he is now coming to Bisibelebad. From Bisibelebad, he will now come further south. Further. That will come. Tomorrow he will be throughout in Bisibelebad only. Fully in Karnataka. Tomorrow is the most important day before Sundarakanda because comes the most important character who will turn Rama's fortunes. His name is Hanuman. He comes in the second half. See, generally directors will put the best of the characters in the first half. But Valmiki was a super director. He gives the best of the characters in the second half. A person who did not belong to that jati, Manushya jati at all, he was of a Vanara jati. Not a married Vanara, he was a Naishtika Brahmachari Vanara. Boys only school, not co-education. But he is coming to the rescue of Sita, whose profile photo he has not seen. Why? For the love he develops on Rama all of a sudden. So tomorrow in meeting of Hanuman with Rama, later Vali Vadham and Sugriva Pattabhishekam, which is day 6 tomorrow. Day 7, as said, Friday will be Anguliya Pradhanam, which is Sundarakandam. Saturday and Sunday, Vibhishana Sharanagati and Rama Pattabhishekam. I'm thankful to the temple, though they face some initial challenges because of their vow that they had to conduct this Utsavam, they made a quick arrangement, and this arrangement in the Vasanta Mandapam is also so beautiful. So tomorrow, hopefully, the Idi Minnarudan Koodiya Mazhai may not happen, and then we will get back to our original pavilion tomorrow. Yeah, Kavita